beautiful students. It's a thrilling day for me. My name is Okeo Genemayowa Adibara. I am your facilitator for this course, LIS 217, Business Information Systems and Services. Today we are going to be discussing business enterprise. During the course of our discussion, we'll be talking about entrepreneurship, enterprise, who is an entrepreneur. And we're also going to talk about those characteristics of business enterprise or characteristics of entrepreneur. I'm super excited to be here today and I'm happy to see you around. I promise you enjoy every bit of this course. It's time for class now. Let's move to the class so we'll discuss this topic further. You're welcome to this class. LIS 217, Business Information System and Services. Once again, my name is Okeo Genemayowa Adibara. Today we are going to be dwelling more on this topic, business enterprise. What is business enterprise? Looking at the topic before us, we'll be discussing terms like business, enterprise, entrepreneurship, business enterprise, and some characteristics of business enterprise. Therefore, by the end of this course, you should be able to define business, enterprise, entrepreneur, and entrepreneurship. And you should be able to also identify some of those characteristics of business enterprise. Before we go further, let's do a class activity. If I may ask, what is business enterprise? If suddenly a child walk up to you and asks you, auntie, uncle, daddy, mommy, what do you understand by the term business enterprise? What will be your response? I trust most of you would have gotten an answer to this question, what business enterprise is. Before we discuss business enterprise, we want to talk about what business is in itself. Business is any activity that involves the buying and selling of goods and services in order to make profit. Goods in this case refers to items that can be seen and touched, such as car, laptops, and so on. While services, on the other hand, are things you cannot see or touch, such as medical care, cell phone repair. When the owners of Mr. Biggs opened the Mr. Biggs eatery, their aim was to satisfy the need of people who don't have the time to prepare their own food. They sell snacks, drinks, and other items in order to make profits. Many other businesses provide services in exchange for money, such as banks like Guarantee Trust Bank, Eco Bank, and First Bank. These are referred to as service-oriented companies or organizations whose business function is to accept monetary deposit from customers, and at the end of the day, they give them loan and charge them interest. So even presently, they currently charge people some money on their transaction that they make, like deposit and withdrawal. We have airlines like Peace Airline, Dana Airline, Arik Airline, Ibom Airline. They provide services to passengers by taking them to their various destinations in order to make money. So some other businesses provide goods and services at the same time in order to make profit. Like Toyota companies, they manufacture cars, at the same time service those cars for their customers. So a business is known as any company, firm, enterprise, or organization that buys and sells goods or services to customers with the sole aim of making profits. Business is therefore any activities that is commercial in nature. Provided you exchange something for money, it is called a business. For anything to be called a business, it must have the following characteristics. 1. Sales and exchange of goods and services. And any activity that involves buying and selling of goods and services in exchange for money is called a business. For example, For a farmer to cultivate crops for consumption by his family members, that is not a business. But when this farmer cultivate crops and sell to the public for their consumption in exchange for money, it is now known as a business. Business must deal in goods and services. Business includes the production and distribution of goods and services. For example, people engage in business for the purpose of producing and distributing goods and services such as bags, wigs, weapons, milks, bread, rice, and other grocery. And some other equipment that people also produce and distribute include cars, generators, and so on and so forth. For anything to be called a business also, it must have legal activity. Businesses must ensure that they know the legal implication of conducting a business. Tax laws had to be taken seriously around in order to avoid fines. For those businesses that requires registration by CAC or Corporate Affairs Commission, it is important that all legal protocols are observed. Hence, also, for any activity to be called a business, it must be involved in profit making. Businesses are carried out with the aim of making profits. Without profit, it is impossible for business to survive. Hence, any activity that does not involve profit making is not a business. What is an enterprise? An enterprise is an activity or business that involves commercial transaction. Enterprise also refers to a business, company, or entrepreneurial activity accompanied by initiative and resourcefulness. So this shows that an enterprise is established by an entrepreneur. The process of establishing an enterprise is known as entrepreneurship. So at this point, you may be wondering what entrepreneurship and entrepreneur is. Don't worry, we are going to discuss that now. What is an entrepreneurship, or what is entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is the ability and readiness to develop, organize, and manage a business enterprise along with any of the uncertainty or risks that comes with the business, all in order to make profits. It involves the process of combining resources such as human resources, capital, land, in order to make profits. From the definition, you can see that entrepreneurship involves a process. It is a process of what? Establishing a business or an enterprise. Who established a business? Since entrepreneurship is a process of establishing a business, there must be somebody behind it, and that person is known as an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur. So who is an entrepreneur? Who is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is an individual who has the ability to establish and manage a business, dealing with the risks or uncertainties that comes with the business with the aim of making profits. Thus, for one to be an entrepreneur, you must be able to develop your own enterprise. You must be creative, innovative, and be willing to take risk. You have to be patient. You have be willing to take risk. So an entrepreneur is an individual who take risk in order to hopefully gain a reward, either profit or loss. Hopefully here indicates that there is no assurance of realization of reward. An entrepreneur is an individual who perceives the market opportunity and then has the motivation and ability to mobilize resources in order to meet this market opportunity. Having discussed entrepreneurship, enterprise, and entrepreneur, we want to talk about business enterprise. What is business enterprise? Business enterprise is a combination of men, machines, materials, money, and knowledge with the objective of providing and distributing the needed goods and services to the public in order to make profits. We have business enterprise can be divided into two main categories: the profit organizations and the non-profit organization. Profit organizations are those business organizations that are owned by individual or group of individuals with the aim of making profit. Example of such profit organizations are sole proprietorship, partnership, and cooperative societies. All these kind of business organizations are out to make profits. Then the non-profit organization, as the name goes, are organizations that are established without the motive of making profit. We have the religious body like the churches, and we have public hospitals like the general hospitals owned by federal, state, or local governments. For anything to be called a business enterprise, it must have the following characteristics, such as risk takers. Entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs are not afraid of taking risk because they consider risk as a normal part of trying to achieve the stated goals of their business. So besides establishing a business, you have to take the risks that comes with the business. You have to deal with the challenges of the business in order for you to stay in business. Another characteristics of a business enterprise is dedication. And entrepreneurs are committed to the vision and mission of their business enterprise. So they have to stay focused to the objectives of their business, irrespective of the risks that might come their way or that might come their way. Then they are conscious of time. Entrepreneurs are always mindful of time. So instead of spending your time in doing things that are irrelevant, they spend their time in productive activities that will help them to elevate their business. Then one very important characteristic is what? Technology driven. For you to be an entrepreneur, you must be technology driven. Business enterprises or entrepreneurs are technology driven due to the constant changes in the business environment. Hence, in order to meet the needs of their customers, they have to stay updated with technological advancements in their business. For example, of late, most business do their marketing on TV, online, through the internet, social media handles. They advertise their products online. That is why most business these days, even as small as they are, they'll have a large customer base. Then another characteristic of business enterprise is creativity and being innovative. Entrepreneurs are creative thinkers. They look forward to new ideas and better way of doing things. So it's important for any business enterprise or an entrepreneur to have these characteristics in order to stay in business. I want us to also do another class activity for the second time in this lesson. Now, I want you to discuss what is a business enterprise, who is an entrepreneur, list any 5 characteristics of business enterprise. You can send your answers to these 3 questions to my email address. In this lesson, you have learned what business enterprise is, their characteristics, and that of entrepreneurs. You have come to understand that business enterprise play a very significant role in the society and the lives of humans generally. They provide goods and services that meet the needs of the populace and further increase or improve the standard of living. So, as entrepreneurs, as business enterprise owners, it is important that for you to stay afloat in business, you need money, human resources, and you also need to take risk to stay in business. From our discussion so far, do you have any questions? If you have any questions, please send it to the email address omayowaadebara@now.edu.ng. I'll promise I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for listening.